Hello and good evening, good morning and whatnot. My name is George, of course, aka Neck Over Million, and this is going to be the fifth video where I talk about music. This is going to be video 1 of 2 as a response to a warning to the future of music. This was basically a podcast by Rick Beato and Ted Gioia. And if anyone's wondering why the hell I'm focused so much in a lot of ways on Rick Beato. I find a lot of things he says interesting. Certainly there are things I agree with, but there's also things I disagree with. And it's always good to have both kind of perspectives rather than just sticking to one or the other. And also I've noticed a lot when a lot of other people respond to his videos, it's always either just agree or just disagree, and I do feel like those people are missing half the conversation. They're not really talking about. So there is that. Now before I start the video proper, that's a loud vehicle. Before I start the video proper, I do have to point out certain things. Some things I need to address. First and foremost, in a previous video I said Verse is Sony's group. I was misinformed and my video is kind of misinformation in that part. My apologies. V is actually Sony's group. I made a statement about artificial intelligence, and while I've seen a few interesting things about artificial intelligence, I don't believe that there's enough there to really replace actual composers for every genre and every style. I don't think modern AI is capable of doing that. Like, it's at best able to, in a sense, ad-lib, sort of a paint by numbers sort of thing. So there's that. I don't think improv is a thing that most AIs are really programmed with, but I'm not going to say it's incapable of such. I made mention of The Who, which is spelled WHO. There's also another group that's referred to as The Who, which is spelled HU. So, difference between the two. Both of which still have great music, excellent musicians, excellent vocals, definitely worth checking out. Let's see. Lastly, there is an inaccuracy in a previous video where I talked about competitive gamers in relation to music, and there's an inaccuracy there as well, which I will get into later in the video. Now then, and should anyone want an easier way of finding the music I talk about, or at least music related to those I speak of, I have created a playlist, and I will be creating another playlist as well, just to make it easier, because I'm aware of how hard it is to actually find music online. Now, with all that said, and of course my playlist is a mix of things. It's going to have trailers, it's going to have ads in it, but it's also going to have other stuff, music that tells stories, music that express, music that's aggressive, that's calm, that's happy, that's sad, like a whole wide different range of when it comes to music. Now that this unnecessarily lengthy bit is done and out of the way, on to the topic. One thing that's briefly speaking of is blockchains and NFTs. I'm just going to keep it short and saying that there is definitely what seems to be a security issue, looking at what happened with Seth Green, and the possibility of perhaps losing one's own intellectual rights and distribution rights and stuff like that to something once it's made into an NFT. Little things like that are a big problem when it comes to NFTs and blockchains. So while NFTs and blockchains do have the potential to be good, until problems like the security issue is resolved, NFTs and blockchains are not something that can be trusted. For those who support such things, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. There's a lot of problems with that system that needs to be resolved before you can rely on it for anything. Otherwise, next thing you know, any song that comes out that's made into an NFT will end up being locked away faster than an old film in the Disney vault. Now, on to the other topics. Ted speaks of having to write shorter articles before getting published on Substack, and he's noticed a similar trend in music. A trend some have also noticed in modern movie soundtracks as well, which some may disagree with. Basically, short, simple, TikTok friendly, as it were. God, I miss when we refer to it as Vine friendly. I have spoken of this in previous videos. The short loops and remixes that are often extended to create an illusion of length, while adding little or making insignificant changes to a reused measure. No added chords, no deviation from the melody, no changes in lyrics or vocal pitch or anything like that. It's just saying the same thing, playing the same note over and over again. I won't go too much into it because I've said enough in the previous video. There's concern that this is the aim of the industry, the 16-second TikTok song. Regardless of everything, all music isn't like this, thankfully. Animation studios, video game companies, and various people online, including the various personalities such as previously mentioned VTubers, the virtual performers, tend to aim for songs that are at a minimum 2 minutes. And while 2 minutes is the minimum, it isn't the average. And it's kind of funny thinking about it, how everyone aims to be as short as the kinds of melodies you'd hear in old arcade games like Pac-Man. But when it comes to something more modern, it's almost like a switching of the script. And then there's the communities themselves, the people who enjoy the various media out there, the various entertainment. Many are there just to listen or have other interests, such as in anime. However, many also have a huge interest in the music itself, from attempts at reciting the music to using it as inspiration for their own music. These people create their fan works and similar. And of course, going back to Pac-Man, there's Pac-Man Fever, and then there's more modern stuff, such as the music that's created by I think it's a group called Aviators, or maybe a single person. I don't know. My apologies. And Aviators is referenced simply because they do a lot nice, interesting mix. Kind of like my references in the past who do other interesting mixes. Aviators have done video game inspired songs such as Remains, anime inspired songs like Teeth, and the H.P. Lovecraft inspired Can You Hear It? And Aviators also do have their own original music as well, such as Streets of Gold, God Hunter, and Traveler's Song. Of course, there's still the music that's less than 2 minutes, 1 minute music and stuff like that. And again, apologies for outside sound, sometimes that happens. Anyways, by itself, it can't say much, the 1 minute song and anything under 2 minutes. They can't say much by themselves unless it's a form of expression. However, when used with other media or back to back with other songs to tell a story or whatever the case may be, it does become an interesting experience. In a previous video, I made mention of Whack World, which tells a story through rhythm and metaphor through 15 1-minute songs. And then there's a My Chemical Romance with the Black Parade. The intro is basically 1 minute and 2/3, but without that 1 minute and 2/3 starting off the album and going before the main song, the Black Parade, the Black Parade ends up feeling empty. A lot of people feel like it's not a complete song without that 1 minute and 2/3. What time? Okay. Now, onto the subject of trance. It is an interesting topic that I should have spoken of in my previous videos. Basically, 10 minutes of stimulation can put the mind into a trance. The stimulation can be many things: listening to music, watching waterfall, as well as ASMR. Although I know ASMR is kind of a touchy subject for some people because it's hard to find ASMR that isn't weird or gross to some people, like mouth sounds. But there's also ASMR such as white noise, for example. Anyways, back on topic. The stimulation can be something that can release tension and cause relaxation. Stimulation can also be something that enhances awareness and focus. And for other media, music, when music's used for this trance, it can also help in immersion. And this comes back to what I forgot to say of gaming. See, gamers will talk about getting into the zone. State of zen where they are aware of what's going on. There's more awareness, more focus. From Minecraft players building intricate machines and structures to those who get hyped for competition. I forgot to mention that some people do that. Listen to a song and that hypes them up so they can get ready, be more focused and more aware, and be able to, well, play better. And even outside of gaming, there's people who will listen to lo-fi hip-hop, listen to that for hours to focus on their writing. And of course, there are various marching songs and similar music that is designed to inspire people, to raise their spirits, so to say. Music does have a profound effect on the limbic system. Unfortunately, there isn't an agreed upon basis I can reference. What I can say is that much like the lo-fi, people can listen to multiple music with similar characteristics for 10 minutes and achieve a similar results. Of course, it would be nice to have actual 10-minute music. I do enjoy those piano melodies whenever I find them. Well, piano medleys, rather. Now then, on to the subject of open system versus closed system. And this is something where I 100% agree with Ted on, and I love that he brings this up and wish more people would. Basically, closed systems lock people out who didn't sign into said system, whereas open systems succeed because people aren't locked out. People don't need to sign in on an agreement or in order to use the system. What I noticed is that this also encouraged collaboration and community growth, which is also why I put such a huge value on the so-called fan-made content. Now, on the subject of technology, revisiting this one, there isn't much I can say I haven't already said in previous videos. Film, video games, and streaming have all been greatly improved, yet the most music got was better compression. But of course, compression can still have a reduction of quality in music, which is why what's heard in a high-definition music video is often better in a digital album. Of course, there's exceptions, but that is often relying on a few factors, such as what kind of sound system is the audience using to listen, or does the video use a compressed audio dub? As for super vinyl, that is something I can see working. Curious how that can work. Although I've often wanted to see a newer version of the music box, simply because a modernized music box can make full use of what is available. Maybe a music box with holograms, which is doable even with the tech from 2015. Could be a means to also monetize dance and other performances. Just throwing that out there. Lastly, as for the Pythagoras influence, I do agree with the idea that trying to be accurate on the note is a detriment. It's a detriment because the full range of sounds is not being utilized. And outside of the countries influenced by Pythagoras, were various countries like seen in Africa and Asia that basically do things like bending the notes. We can actually hear this when it comes to the throat singing, like what the Who do, H-U. Basically, you got these people who explore a wide range of sound and makes full use of it for expression, storytelling, entertainment, and whatever other means it is. So that is my response. There's more I can say, but that's going to take a lot more research, especially since it's going to go into darker aspects of entertainment. So until then, I am George, aka Neko Vermillion. I thank you for watching, and hopefully my playlist and these videos can serve something for you.